That was a wild season for the Bulls. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video of Sports Talk Buffalo. Before we go any further, I want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. I talk Bills, Sabres, and UB Bulls men's basketball and football right here on this page. Also, remember to check out some cool merch. The links are in the description below. The Bulls hang on to beat former UB Bulls quarterback Kyle Van Treese and Georgia Southern 23-21 in the Camellia Bowl to cap off what would be considered a roller coaster season by most fans. Now, after the first full offseason for head coach Mo Linguist and the highest rated recruiting class in the history of UB football, it's safe to say that fans expected very big things from the Bulls this season. Now, to say the first 3 games did not quite go as fans expected would be an understatement, as the Bulls went 0-3, including a complete second-half meltdown against Coastal Carolina and an embarrassing last-second Hail Mary loss to FCS Holy Cross. Now, it looked like at that point that the season was basically over and that the Bulls would fall into obscurity once again, as they did last season in Mo Linguist's first season as head coach, when they went 4-8 and looked to get progressively worse as the season went on. It looked like that carried over into this season, and as a Bulls fan, it was something that was just horrific to watch. However, the Bulls then entered conference play, in which they ripped off 5 straight wins to move their record to 5-3 and put themselves in position to potentially be a contender for the Mid-American Conference title. Now, after that, we talked about roller coaster. After that, Buffalo would go on to lose their next 3 games, including a complete and utter meltdown against Kent State, where the Bulls, I believe, were up 24 points and let Kent State come all the way back to beat the Bulls in that game. And now the Bulls would sit 5-6, needing to win their last game against Akron to become bowl eligible for the 5th time in 6 seasons. Now, of course, the Bulls would go ahead and pull out a last-second win against a very feisty Akron team, a team that was just 2-10 to finish the season, and they would become bowl eligible for the 5th time in 6 seasons. And of course, out of all the potential teams, the committee saw it fit to match up the Bulls against their former quarterback, the one who transferred in Kyle Van Treese to Georgia Southern. He didn't think he got enough of an opportunity here in Buffalo to really showcase his passing ability, as Buffalo was a run-first team. He transfers to Georgia Southern, and boy, did he put up some numbers. Now, while he did lead the nation in interceptions, he was also 5th in the nation in passing yards, and he threw for over 25 touchdowns as well, which goes to show that he could be much more than just a simple game manager that the Bulls used him as when he was here in Buffalo. Now, Georgia Southern came into this game with a high-powered offense, as I just mentioned. That Van Treese was 5th in the nation in passing yards, which is pretty incredible when you think about the seasons that he spent in UB. I think the most he had was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1,900 yards passing, which is pretty pedestrian in terms of college stats. but he goes to Georgia Southern and absolutely lights it up. They have an incredibly high-powered offense. And with the Bulls secondary missing multiple players heading into the Camellia Bowl, Georgia Southern came in as a 6-point favorite to beat the Buffalo Bulls. However, it was the Bulls' defense that was the most impressive in this game, as all game long they employed a bend but don't break defense, and they held Georgia Southern mostly out of the end zone. And when they got the opportunity to get off the field on third down, they were able to do so more times than not, as they held Georgia to just 7 of 15 on third downs. The Bulls defense was also able to force 2 turnovers. That secondary that was deep into their depth chart. They even had a converted wide receiver playing at DB. That secondary was able to get an interception. And of course, the star linebacker for UB, the former walk-on Sean Dolak, has himself another big game, gets a tackle for loss, and on that tackle for loss, forces a fumble in which Buffalo recovers, and the Bulls were able to score points on both of those turnovers. Now, Buffalo's offense, they got going in the second quarter as they scored 2 touchdowns. One was a 5-yard run by fourth string. Yes, I said that, fourth string running back Tajay Ahmed, with the Bulls dealing with a plethora of injuries in their running back room. It was up to Ahmed to carry the load for the Bulls in this game. He scores a 5-yard touchdown run, and also Cole Snyder hits Justin Marshall for a 32-yard touchdown pass down the right sideline. Just a beautiful play, a beautiful throw and catch by the two. Also in this game, the offense controlled the ball as they dominated the time of possession, 38:06 to just 21:54 for Georgia Southern, and that is a large part in why the Bulls were able to hold a high-powered Georgia Southern offense to just 21 points. Not just that, but the Bulls were able to stay on offense, converting several third and longs and being very, very efficient on third down. 12 of 19 was the offense. Cole Snyder looked very comfortable in the pocket. The offensive line gave him tons of time on multiple occasions. They did allow 1 sack. However, he was able to sit in the pocket, survey the field, and deliver strikes downfield time and again, of course, to his 2 main targets, Keon Williams, who had 5 catches for 100 yards, and Justin Marshall, who set career highs, which we will talk about in a few minutes. The stars of this game, as I was just talking about, was, of course, one of them was Justin Marshall, who I just said set career highs in catches, 11 receptions, 127 yards, and a touchdown in this game. I just talked about Taj Ahmed, who was a 4th string running back. He carried the load for UB, had 27 carries, 98 yards, despite having just 4 rushing yards all season long for the Bulls. He was huge in this game. So hats off to Tajay Ahmed, who played a tremendous game when his name was called. Also, you have to shout out Buffalo's defense, in particular the star linebacker duo of Sean Dolak and James Patterson. Dolak had, I believe, 13 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and that forced fumble that we talked about. And the other, James Patterson, had 8 tackles, 1 tackle for loss in this game. And he ends his UB career second all-time in tackles for loss with 41 and a half, second to only, you know who that is, and that is Khalil Mack, who was just an absolute stud for the University at Buffalo, who had somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 tackles for loss, just an insane number over the course of his career at UB, but a fantastic career for James Patterson, as this was his last game for the University at Buffalo. We all wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he's able to land himself on an NFL roster. Of course, I talked about him earlier also, which is the converted wide receiver to defensive back in this game, and that was Clevester Hines, who played spectacular in what was a very difficult situation with multiple players either going into the transfer portal or entering the NFL draft. He was spectacular. 7 tackles and 3 passes defended in this game, several big plays. He was all over the field and he looked good doing it. Maybe a potential position switch for Hines. Time will tell in that one. Also, to make note, to end the season, Cole Snyder finishes this game with 265 yards passing and a touchdown, and he quietly had one of the best, in terms of passing yards, one of the best seasons in the history of the University at Buffalo, as he is just the 3rd player to throw for over 3,000 passing yards in a season. He finished with 3,030 yards, 18 touchdowns to end the season. A tremendous first season for Cole Snyder as the UB Bulls signal caller. It was his first year as a collegiate starter, and I am very excited to see if he can build on his first season here in Buffalo. Now, the Bulls capped off a season on a high note, as I stated earlier, winning their 3rd bowl game in program history and returning to relevance in just the 2nd season under Coach Maurice Linguist. This is going to set up UB to potentially continue to build on this season moving forward. I know the transfer portal has wreaked havoc on a lot of rosters. However, UB has been able to keep a lot of their really solid players in this offseason and are able to hopefully add more in the transfer portal and upcoming recruiting season. They already have a fantastic recruiting class, which currently ranks 101 in the nation, according to 247sports.com. I believe that Linguist will go to the transfer portal and look to add more talent as the offseason progresses forward. Overall, what I would consider a successful season for the University at Buffalo. They finished 7-6, a game over 500 in Maurice Linguist, just his 2nd season. Again, fantastic job. Hopefully next season they can be just a little bit more consistent and not have such a roller coaster of a ride. However, again, what I would consider a fantastic season, and I look forward to what the Bulls will do this offseason in Coach Linguist's 2nd full season. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. I absolutely love talking UB Bulls, men's basketball and football, Sabres, and Bills all on this page. That's it for this week, guys. Have a fantastic week.